Hello and welcome to our lesson on what is colonialism, where we look at the difference between exploration and conquest. Here are our objectives for the lesson. We're going to look at colonialism. We're going to try to understand why people colonize and then think about its impact. So firstly, what is colonialism? If we look at the simplest definitions, it's the practice of gaining full or partial control over a country, typically to exploit resources of that country. You're taking over an area to gain something. And why do people colonize? Well, in the case of the United States and most of North America, people made colonies to escape religious persecution, to make a new place where they could live. In other cases, to gain land and power, to own more stuff, or to access new resources like gold, grains, pretty much anything you could need as a country. So our first shout out, pause the video and think, what is colonialism? And also think about, why do people colonize? Think about those two questions for a moment. For colonialism, if you wrote to take control of a country partially or fully, exploiting the resources of that country, that would be exactly correct. And to gain wealth and power is a good reason why people colonize, escape persecution, or also gain resources. So there's lots of views on colonialism, and we're not going to be able to delve into how complex it is in this video. But on its basic terms, in the period we're looking at, in the Renaissance and a little bit later, it was nations finding their pieces of the world. They each wanted something. The more you had, the stronger you were. Your empire was based on how many colonies you possessed. And having colonies made you competitive compared to everyone else. So there's a bit of a race between certain countries to do that. So when we see colonialism, we see a lot of oppression coming with it. People building their empires by taking control of smaller areas that were a little different and relying on those areas for resources. This is the era of slavery, the era of plantations. A lot of stuff happened out of colonialism that still has an impact today, which we're going to talk about next. If we think about good impacts, we got railroads, dams, telephones, and telegraph lines. We really grew economically, and European business grew hugely. But with these positives, there's lots of negatives. The Europeans brought new diseases such as smallpox. Nations struggle to gain power in modern ages after being exploited. So we took advantage of other countries through slavery, through plantations, through other programs, and we're still living with that consequence. And really colonized nations become very politically vulnerable. Colonized nations really struggle politically now with conflict and setting themselves apart from their past. The damage caused through slavery, through exploitation, through race-based laws, those are all still real scars today. So I want you to take a moment for your homework and describe the legacy of colonialism.